the technical arm of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, the Building and Development Services Department plays a major role before and after a storm. And one of the critical functions of the department is to ensure basically that there's safety within all aspects of development within the port area. And so in preparation for a hurricane, one of the first things that we look at is our incident action plan. Just analyzing where perhaps we have gone wrong, the issues that need to be tweaked, how are they different now in terms of the circumstances. And so that's usually our main thrust in preparation for a hurricane season. Once we've done that, we commission our inspectors to be assigned to various areas or subdivisions within the Freeport and Lucaya areas, just so that they are familiar with those subdivisions so that they can respond effectively after the disaster. We do a number of training exercises and drills in preparation for the storm so that, again, we are adequately prepared as a team. Once there is an all clear given, our team members hit the floor in terms of being dispatched to the areas that they've been assigned to see the level of damages. Then they would visit these persons within these subdivisions. There is a system where we would also use plaque cards. We have 3 plaque cards that we utilize to assess residents' homes. There's a green plaque card that basically says that that particular residence is safe, and there's no visible damages and what have you, and so it's safe for occupancy. Then the second is a yellow card, which applies to restricted use. In other words, that there may be a portion of that structure that is compromised, and so we would guard persons to be careful in using that structure, and also encouraging them to seek independent assessments of the structure. Then lastly, there's an unsafe card where there's obvious damages. It may be fit for demolition, and so again, we would then ask the customer to engage an independent assessor to make sure that it is structurally sound. And so we also look for any elements, whether it be electrical or not, in terms of it being safe to be re-energized as well. And so once this is done and we've left that information at the particular residence, we encourage them to call our department at 350-9166 or 816-4030, just to find out more information about them coming into the department, filling out what we have as a hurricane permit, which allows the resident to then do the necessary repairs, particularly again if it's structural or electrical in nature. And so once they've done that, then we pass that communication on to the power company so that that house can be safely re-energized. And the key word is safely. And that's one of the things that we always want to ensure is done for our residents within the port area. So the Grand Bahama Power Company, obviously, they own the meters in terms of that being a part of their infrastructure that they supply to the homes. Now, if they deem it necessary for the meters to be pulled, that would be something that would be the responsibility and for them to have the authority to do so. One of the things that we look at in particular is the weatherhead, which is on the top of the roof of the structure, whether or not that is bent or it's safely straight and vertical, and allowing the line from the pole to be safely connected to that weatherhead. And so if that's not compromised, and there are other issues that are not compromised in terms of the structure being safely energized, we communicate that to the power company. But at the end of the day, we also depend on them to look at also the safety of re-energizing that home. So we work hand in hand. And so in some cases, there has to be discussion about a particular residence to see whether or not our views may differ. But at the end of the day, we both want the same thing for that residence. So electricity is a matter of life and death. And so one of the things that we encourage residents to use is that of a Gbpa licensed electrician. I must say that the Gbpa licensed electrician has also passed the requirements of the Bahamas government as well. And so with that, now there's some level of responsibility that particular electrician takes on, because they have gone through all of the processes required to make them eligible to do the restorative works. And so we want to encourage residents, sometimes it may seem cheaper, easier, to engage someone who does not have a license, but it may not always be safer. And so again, the key word is safety. After Hurricane Dorian, one of the concepts that evolved was that of building back better, encouraging residents to look at, looking at what they perhaps did in the past that they could do now differently, as it relates to elevating, as it relates to perhaps looking at their HVAC systems or mechanical infrastructure and what have you. And so we developed an entire document that gives recommendations to both the resident as well as the contractor to consider as they rebuild. And so there are many homeowners that are now in this process of rebuilding, and so the consideration of building back better is a true one, particularly now as we don't really know the intensity or the frequency of storms to come. It is a wise phenomenon that we're looking at now in terms of encouraging persons to be wise in how they build.